Alright guys, well, I'm going to try to do a video out here. A certain situation has arisen that we can't rectify. So what it's doing is it's causing me to have to exclude myself from everything because people aren't mature about certain things. Anyway, without going into too many details on that, I'm going to take this opportunity to read through a couple of headlines for you guys because there is some very, very interesting articles that have popped up, and you can see there's three of them here I'm going to go into. Plague of locusts to hit Egypt area, but not Israel on Passover. So just as the biblical plague skipped over the children of Israel and Egypt, authorities reported that a huge swarm of locusts headed towards the Middle East will skip over Israel. Locust Watch, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, reported that new swarms are forming in the Horn of Africa. What were we just talking about in Ecclesiastes 12? Revelations. Luke. The situation remains extremely alarming in the Horn of Africa, especially Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia. A couple weeks ago, I did a story about that. In fact, everybody was talking about it. Where widespread breeding is in progress and new swarms are starting to form, representing an unprecedented threat to food security and livelihoods at the beginning of the upcoming cropping season. Locust Watch posted on its website. So we see famine coming up, guys. According to Locust Watch 3-month forecast, the threat will pass south of Israel before heading east towards Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and Pakistan. A similar swarm threatened Israel last year just before the Passover holiday, but never materialized. Swarms are often tens of square kilometers in size. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization charged with monitoring locust outbreaks explained. The FAO warned that a swarm of just 1 square kilometer eats the same amount of food in one day as 35,000 people. A swarm the same size of Bamako, Mali, or Niamey, Niger, can consume what half the population of either country would eat in a single day. The swarms also can travel 93 miles a day, making efforts to control an outbreak even more difficult. Officials warn that further rains in the region could lead to an even larger outbreak. Guys, we've never had this before. There should be no question about what's happening. A similar infestation that took place exactly 7 years ago in southern Israel was successfully controlled. In 1915, a locust swarm in then Palestine led to a regional famine. The coronavirus has left many supermarkets in Israel struggling to keep their shelves stocked, and the arrival of locust swarms would help. And the arrival of locust swarms would help? Wait, what? Though most insects are not kosher and unfit for Jewish consumption, there are 4 varieties of locusts that are listed as kosher. Some might even consider it fitting to dine on locusts during the Passover Seder ceremony. So he does allow them. They're following the dietary laws. The concept is highly appealing since they do not require ritual slaughtering, and according to some opinions, may even be consumed live. The flesh of locusts is parve, and can be served with either dietary or meat. Rabbi Natan Slifkin, director of the Biblical Muslim Museum of Natural History, holds an annual banquet featuring, among other unusual delicacies, locusts dipped in chocolate and caramel. And actually, I have had people down here complaining. I've actually had sour cream and onion dusted crickets, and they're actually really good. It's crispy like a potato chip. The locust has got a lot more juice in them. You can, however, roast them lightly in a skillet with butter and garlic. That really kind of takes some of the wild taste out of it. Coronavirus is about to bring about the pre-Messiah double Sabbath. The aphorism states that every cloud must have a silver lining, and while the dark cloud of coronavirus hangs heavy over the Holy Land, one unexpected benefit might be that the strict quarantine will bring about the condition the Jewish sages say precedes the Messiah: universal observance of the Holy Sabbath. In response to the pandemic coronavirus, Israel's health ministry issued a new set of directives, the strictest the country has seen to date. A 14-day absolute curfew began Monday, in which essential industries will remain open, grocery stores, pharmacies, etc. But there will be no buses, no trains, and no leaving the home for non-essential reasons. There will also be Army and police patrolling to enforce the last item with a heavy hand, according to reports. We're seeing the one world religion starting to kick up. All outdoor leisure activity, with very few exceptions, is also prohibited according to the new regulations. The directive specifically included public parks, beaches, as well as malls as being considered no-go zones. As a result of the health ministry's initiatives, for the first time in modern Israel's 71-year history, and perhaps for the first time since biblical rule reigned in the land, all shopping malls, theaters, stores, restaurants, and beaches will be closed on a Sunday. That's prophetic, guys, especially with the generation we're in. In a powerful case of synchronicity, this Sabbath, Jews around the world will be reading the Parsha, weekly section of the Torah, in Exodus chapter 35 and 40, which opens with Moses commanding the Jews to keep the Sabbath. Get here, bugs. Driving and doing business are forbidden on Shabbat, as is traveling outside of a specified area. With empty thoroughfares and shops, all of Israel will closely resemble the biblical description of Shabbat. They have the scriptures in these articles. Quarantine similar to that being applied in Israel is also being enforced in several countries, creating a condition in which a global Sabbath may be observed this week. The implications of that should be striking people right now, precisely when Jews are reminded of the biblical commandment. Few people realize that observance of the Sabbath in its proper day is one of the major keys to bringing in the Messianic era. The Talmud, Shabbat 118b, states, were Israel to keep 2 Sabbaths as commanded, they would be immediately redeemed. It is important to note that Rabbi Yoel Schwartz, head of the Sanhedrin's Noahide Court and the Dvar Yerushalayim Yeshiva, explained that the 2 Sabbaths described in the Talmud could be interpreted as a Jewish Shabbat in tandem with a non-Jewish Shabbat. The rabbi put out a call for the nations to keep the Sabbath and for the Jews to help them in this mission. Rabbi Schwartz explained that there are 2 different versions of the Sabbath commandment, one for the Jews and one for the nations. The Jews are required to both remember and observe, performing the positive commandments as well as refraining from the 39 forbidden forms of labor. The positive mitzvah of remembering the Sabbath is encompassed in reciting Kiddush, which is satisfying the Sabbath, usually performed over a glass of wine. He also recommended that non-Jews light 2 candles to bring in the Sabbath, typically performed by women. Wow, what were we just reading in the book of Isaiah in the previous video? This unexpected positive side effect of the pandemic was raised by Moshe Feiglin, the leader of the Zehu party. He began his rather poetic Facebook post on the subject with a quote from the blessing said after the Shabbat meal. The compassionate one, may he cause us to inherit the day which we will be completely a Sabbath and rest day for eternal life. I could never imagine this addition to the Saturday's food blessing, Feiglin wrote, noting that the word Shabbat actually means to cease or to stop. Now the whole world is stopping. How interesting. Going into a worldwide Shabbat. Stopping work, stopping from running around, stopping from flying. Thanks to the virus, the atmosphere is being renewed and the air we are breathing now is cleaner than ever. Except perhaps on Yom Kippur. Air pollution kills more even than road accidents, so maybe this corona also comes with a blessing. No entertainment, no shopping, no going to the beach or parks or malls. We will all just be like the ultra-religious on Shabbat. Families will be sitting together in their homes, rebuilding what was lost in the craziness of modern life. What else is he planning for us? The one that dwells in the heavens. First, he stopped the politics, then he stopped the transportation. Next, he closed the schools and the economy. What is the next plan from the great director or merciful Father? What is the next act in the play in which we are all spectators as well as participants? Oh, I don't know, rapture? One more. Coronavirus Passover prophesied by medieval rabbi as precursor to Messiah. The coronavirus quarantine in effect in Israel is unpleasant, but as Passover approaches, it becomes clear that it is a powerful aspect to the final redemption. Recreating the Siddur ritual in a prophetic form, it has but taken since the original redemption from Egypt. The details of eating the Passover lamb are described in Exodus. One particular section of the Bible describes the Seder, the ritual meal eaten Passover night, as it was performed the evening before the children of Israel left Egypt. Though this version of the Seder was only performed that one time, which is interesting, very interesting, one detail in particular is relevant today. And it's in Exodus 12:7. They shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and on the lintel of the house, the over the top, in which they are to eat it. Rabbi Jacob ben Asher, also known as Baal, nice name, Haturim, a 13th century Torah scholar from Cologne, commented on how to perform the ritual. As we see in a later verse, that Aaron and his sons will eat the offering in the tabernacle tent and will not come out. Here also you will not come out of your house, thereby teaching that the final redemption is like the first redemption. Similar to the traditional American Thanksgiving feast, Passover is normally a time for family and friends to gather together for a festive meal. But due to the coronavirus, there is a quarantine in effect throughout Israel, as well as many regions in the U.S. This means that most Jewish homes will be having an isolated Passover Seder with few, if any, guests. In other words, this year, the Jewish people will be like the priests in the tabernacle, and just like the ancient Jews in Egypt were in their homes, insular and isolated. Lest the reference by Rabbi Ben Asher be classified as vague and applicable to a different era, the Torah continues describing the first unique redemptive Seder. Exodus 12:9, do not eat any of it raw or cooked in any way with water, but roasted, head, legs, and entrails over the fire. In this verse, the Hebrew word for raw is na. The medieval French biblical authority, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki, however you want to say it, who is known by the acronym Rashi, commented on this verse. I have no idea what he said. Don't eat it raw, that is not roasted, all that is necessary, which is called na in Arabic. In Hebrew, called na is pronounced corona. Whoa, wow. Hold on a second. Don't eat it raw. That is not roasted, all that is necessary, which is called na in Arabic. In Hebrew, called na is pronounced corona. That's weird. 2 verses further on, the purpose of that original Seder and the blood of the doorpost is explicitly described in a manner that is just as relevant today. And the blood on the houses where you are staying shall be a sign for you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, so that no plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. We have that blood over us all the time. So, those were a couple of interesting little stories there that I was just looking to see if anything was going on worth mentioning, and 3 stories right off the bat jumped off the page. So, guys, it's just more stuff. We've never had this before. It's just more stuff pointing to the time that we have. It's God yelling at us going, hey, pay attention, y'all. I'm here. All we got to do is stand in faith. All we got to do is focus on Him and stay strong. There's more stories, too. A new river? Oh, wow. Yeah, there's so much more. I don't have time to do any more of these at the moment, but I'll do some more later. There's so much more. Hand of God brings darkness to Egypt. Must be a dust storm. Yeah, dust storms, it'll block all the sun out. Egypt experienced an apocalyptic storm on Thursday with massive dust clouds engulfing the streets. Yep. I don't know if it'll play. I'm out here in the country. Yep, that's dust storm. So yeah, no, it's just more stuff telling us what's coming. So keep your eyes open, y'all. Stay focused on the truth. Stay up to date on the news. You can download these or go on these on anywhere on your phone or internet and look at these stories. But yeah, it's all coming to pass, guys, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing on this channel at least till he comes, which looks like it's going to be pretty darn soon. Love you guys. I bless you all in Jesus' name. I'll see you in the next one.